right, so ready to dive into this pile of inspiration. Seems like someone's ready for some big changes. We're going deep with Shah Wasman's Stop Talking, Start Doing, a guide to, well, stop talking and actually making things happen.
It's refreshing, right? No sugarcoating, just straight to the point. It lays out a practical way to understand what drives you, face those fears, and make a plan that actually works.
Totally.
Yeah.
And you know that feeling, like an itch to do more? That's where the book starts, recognizing that many of us feel that pull. But then it goes deeper, asking why we hesitate, why fear holds us back.
Exactly. That's where regret comes in. The book makes this point. The weight of regret for things we don't do is often heavier than the fear of trying. Think about it. What are you missing out on by letting fear win?
It's like that scales analogy in the book, mind-blowing. Regret might weigh more, but fear seems bigger because it's right in front of us, blocking the way. Makes you realize how much we might be holding ourselves back. So let's talk about that itch. The book uses examples like writing that book you've always wanted to, starting a business, or changing careers.
Right, and it's important to remember that itch can be different for everyone. For some, it's a clear call, like wanting to write. For others, it's more of a feeling that something's missing, a general unease.
And the book gets that. It acknowledges that wanting change can be scary. It can feel easier to just stick with what you know, even if it's not quite right.
And that's where the book really helps. It doesn't just leave you with that uneasy feeling. It helps you unpack why you hesitate to act. And as we said, fear is a big one.
Fear of failing, judgment, the unknown. It could feel like a huge roadblock. But here's what the book makes clear. The regret of not even trying can be way worse.
It's a powerful shift, isn't it? Instead of focusing on what could go wrong, think about the pain of not doing anything. What might you regret years from now?
Let's be honest, we're all good at making excuses. The book calls out those classics. I don't have time, people will judge me. I don't have the resources. It's like the excuse hall of fame.
Oh.
But here's the twist. The book says to see those excuses as challenges to overcome.
And it gives you these amazing stories of people who faced what seemed impossible, yet they achieved incredible things. Think of J.K. Rowling writing Harry Potter while struggling as a single mom, or Colonel Sanders starting KFC at 65 after so many setbacks. It's a powerful reminder, isn't it? Our circumstances matters.
So instead of why we can't, it's about how we can. Turn that I don't have time into how can I make time, or people will judge me into their opinion doesn't define me. It's a big mental shift, don't you think?
Huge. And this leads to one of the book's core ideas, the power of starting. Just taking that first step, no matter how small, can be a win. It sets things in motion, opens up possibilities. What's one small step you could take today towards that itch we talked about? Even just writing it down can make a difference.
The book gets into the psychology of this too, talking about the Zeigarnik effect. Basically, our brains are wired to want to finish what we start.
It's like unlocking some hidden motivation within us. By starting, we activate this drive to complete things. And that's where rapid prototyping comes in. It's a concept from tech, but it applies to anything. It's about learning by doing, constantly refining, and not being afraid to make mistakes along the way.
So instead of getting stuck in planning mode, remember, done is better than perfect. Sometimes the best way to learn and move forward is just to jump in. And speaking of unexpected outcomes, that leads to this other cool idea the book explores: accidental success. Ever had that happen? Something you weren't even aiming for turned into a great opportunity.
It's like life reminding us that the best outcomes are often the ones we don't see coming. The book gives examples like Coca-Cola, originally meant to be medicine, or Post-it notes, which came from a failed adhesive experiment.
It's crazy, right? Those stories show us that amazing discoveries can happen by chance, but only if we take those first steps. It's like opening a door without knowing what's behind it, but having faith it could lead to something amazing.
The book also talks about Harrison Ford's acting career. It took off after he started carpentry and ended up reading lines for George Lucas, just by chance, during an audition. Life can take unexpected turns, but only if we're open to them. You never know what opportunities might appear just by taking action and putting yourself out there.
So true. And as we start moving forward, we're going to face decisions. That's where the book's insights on decision-making are so valuable. It's about building up that decision-making muscle. Just like any muscle, the more you use it, the stronger it gets. What are some decisions you've been thinking about lately as you consider that itch of yours?
One of the biggest things that stops us from acting is indecision. The book looks at the difference between maximizers, who are always trying to find the absolute best option, and satisficers, who are okay with good enough. And guess what? Research shows that satisficers tend to be happier.
It makes you think about that, saying perfect is the enemy of good. We can get so caught up in finding the perfect choice that we miss out completely.
Totally. The book argues that making a decision, even if it's not perfect, is always better than staying stuck in that endless loop of what ifs.
All right, so we've flexed that decision-making muscle, made a choice, and now it's action time. The book delivers here, giving practical guidance on planning, breaking down those big goals into smaller steps, basically creating a roadmap for success.
One key thing it highlights is setting SMART goals, goals that are specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timed.
It's like taking those big, sometimes vague aspirations and making them real, giving them boundaries. Instead of just, I want to start a business, a SMART goal would be, I'll launch an online store selling handmade jewelry by December 1st. That's a goal with direction, right?
Absolutely. The specific details, the measurability, the time frame, it all brings clarity and accountability. The book also talks about chunking down big goals into smaller, more manageable tasks. It's great when you're feeling overwhelmed.
Right. It's like that saying, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Breaking things down makes it less scary, and you get to celebrate those small wins along the way. And speaking of wins, this reminds me of another crucial part of the book's planning advice, figuring out what actions help and what actions don't.
This is where the book brings in Professor Richard Wiseman's research. He studied people who achieved their goals. He found 5 actions that make success much more likely and 5 that, well, don't really help.
Okay, drum roll please. Let's unveil those 5 magic actions that can make dreams happen.
First one is public commitment. Tell people your goals. It makes you accountable and more likely to follow through. Second is step-by-step progress, which we talked about. Break those goals down into smaller chunks.
And the third one, don't forget to celebrate those wins along the way. It keeps you motivated and reinforces those good actions. It's like giving yourself a pat on the back for all the effort you're putting in.
Number 4, keep track of your progress. A journal, a chart, a list, it doesn't matter. But documenting your journey helps you see how far you've come and stay focused.
And last but not least, focus on the positive reasons for making this change. Why are you doing this? What good things are you working towards? This keeps you going, especially when things get tough.
There you have it, 5 powerful actions backed by research that can really boost your chances of hitting those goals. But just as important, we need to expose those 5 actions that Wiseman found, well, not so helpful.
All right, let's unmask those sneaky saboteurs. Number 1, hero worship. Turns out putting a picture of your idol on the fridge won't magically make you like them.
Shocking, right. Number 2 is focusing on the negative. Dwelling on fear or constantly thinking about how much you dislike your current situation won't magically create a better future.
It's like trying to run a race while staring at the finish line instead of the next step. Number 3, trying to suppress those negative thoughts. The more we push them away, the more they stick around.
It's like that don't think about a pink elephant thing. You're totally thinking about it now, aren't you?
Yeah.
Number 4 is excessive fantasizing. Daydreaming is fun, but it doesn't replace taking action.
It's like planning a dream vacation, but never actually booking the flights or packing your bags. And finally, number 5, relying solely on willpower.
Willpower is great, but it has limits. It's like trying to run a marathon on a single energy bar. You need a plan, support strategies, and those helpful actions we talked about to really make it.
Okay, so we've covered a lot here. Identifying that itch, turning excuses into challenges, the power of starting, SMART goals, and those helpful and unhelpful actions. It's like we're building a toolkit for taking action step by step.
And amidst all this practical advice, the book also gets into some really deep ideas about what drives us, you know? It explores that whole fear and regret thing, the role of accidental success, and the truth about maximizers and satisficers.
And that brings us to something I think is super important for anyone serious about making a change, the power of a personal slogan.
A slogan, like a company motto.
Exactly. But in this case, it's a personal mantra, a phrase or even a word that captures your commitment to taking action. It's a reminder of your goals and your determination to achieve them. A mental nudge to stay focused and motivated.
That's interesting. What kind of slogans work?
It depends on you and your goals.
Yeah.
But some examples could be talk is cheap, action speaks, done is better than perfect, or even just start. Do any of those speak to you? Or can you think of others that might work for our listener?
The point is to find something that speaks to you personally and keeps you inspired.
Absolutely. It's like having a mini pep talk ready to go. And speaking of pep talks, I think it's time to move on to the book's final section, which is all about actionation. We've laid the groundwork, explored the mindset, and now it's time to put those insights into practice, ready to figure out how to make those dreams a reality.
I'm excited to see how the book ties everything together and gives us those final actionable steps.
So if you're ready to stop being a spectator in your own life, let's jump into the final chapter of Stop Talking, Start Doing. Get ready to roll up those sleeves and put those doing muscles to work.
You know, the book really hits home that just knowing you want to change, understanding the fear and regret thing isn't enough. It's about actually doing something. That's where starting is so important.
Yeah, it's like the book's this big cheerleader, pushing us to take those first steps, even if they're shaky. It's saying, once you start, something changes. You go from thinking about it to doing it, from being on the sidelines to being in the game, shaping your own future.
And what I find interesting is it doesn't tell you exactly how to start. It gets that everyone's different. The how depends on you and what you're aiming for.
Right. It's about finding what works for you, setting a date, doing a small thing each day, or even just saying your intention out loud.
But one thing it really stresses is fighting procrastination. We all know that feeling, right? Putting things off, finding any excuse to delay.
You mean that battle between I should do this and Netflix is calling? It's real.
Exactly. The book gets into the why behind procrastination, how our brains love instant gratification. Those distractions can easily derail us.
So how do we fight those urges? Because let's be honest, sometimes those urges win big time.
Well, the book gives some great tips from Professor Piers Steele, a procrastination expert, on outsmarting those tendencies. One I like is Sully Tempting Alternative. Focus on the downsides of those distractions, almost make yourself dislike them.
Like that example in the book, imagining your TV remote covered in sticky stuff or the fridge door falling off from being opened too much. Make those temptations less appealing, even if it takes some imagination.
Right, like turning those distractions into something gross. Another good one is getting rid of things that trigger those distractions. If your phone's buzzing with notifications, silence them, put it away, create an environment that helps you focus.
It's about setting yourself up for success.
All right.
Make it easier to focus on what matters.
Exactly. And speaking of focus, the book talks about this powerful thing that happens when we actually start something, the Zeigarnik effect.
Oh yeah, this is fascinating. Like having a built-in accountability buddy in your mind.
Right. It says our subconscious minds are wired to remind us to finish things we've started. It's like our brains hate unfinished business, and once we begin, there's this push to see it through.
So just by starting, we activate this thing that helps us finish, like having a cheerleader inside, rooting for us to complete it.
That's it. And it reminds me that saying, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. But it's not just about starting, it's also about keeping going, keeping that motivation alive. The book talks about this cool experiment called the Marshmallow Challenge to show this. Have you heard of it?
Yes, it's that classic study about working together, being creative, and like the book says, the importance of starting. I think it's where teams get spaghetti, tape, string, and a marshmallow.
Yeah. They have to build the tallest structure they can with the marshmallow on top, all in a limited time. And the book points out that recent business school grads often struggle with this.
Really? You'd think they'd be good at this kind of thing.
You'd think so, but they spend too much time planning, not enough time actually building and experimenting. Their towers often fall apart at the last minute because of the marshmallow.
So all that planning backfires.
Often, yeah. Interestingly, kindergarten kids do really well with this.
Because they just dive in. No overthinking.
Yeah.
They build, experiment, adjust as they go. No fear of messing up.
Exactly. The book ties this to rapid prototyping, which is big in tech and other fields. It's about learning by doing, building, and testing quickly, and constantly changing based on feedback.
So embrace that kindergarten mindset. Don't let fear or perfectionism stop you. Just start creating, even if it's rough at first. You might surprise yourself with what you can achieve and how much you learn along the way.
Speaking of surprises, this leads to another cool concept: accidental success.
I love how the book shows that life is unpredictable. Sometimes the best things are the ones we don't expect. It reminds us that taking action, just starting, opens up all these possibilities we couldn't have planned for.
Totally. The book gives all these cool examples of accidental success, like Coca-Cola, which was supposed to be medicine, or Post-it notes, which came from a failed glue experiment.
Amazing, right? It shows that those big discoveries can happen by chance, but only if we're brave enough to start.
The book also talks about history, like how the Spanish conquistadors accidentally found out how close the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans were. They were looking for gold, But this discovery led to the Panama Canal, which changed global trade forever.
It's wild how those random events can have such a huge impact.
Yeah.
It really shows how important it is to be open to new possibilities, to those unexpected turns life throws at us.
And sometimes those turns lead to something even better than what we originally planned. The book tells the story of musician Jack Johnson, who wanted to be a pro surfer.
Oh yeah, I love his music.
Me too. But after a bad injury, he turned to filmmaking and music. And look, he found even more success and happiness in that new path.
It shows that sometimes setbacks can be blessings in disguise, leading us to things we might never have discovered otherwise.
The book also talks about Harrison Ford. He wanted to act, but he was working as a carpenter to make ends meet. And guess what? He got hired to build cabinets at George Lucas's house. And while he was there, he ended up reading lines for actors auditioning for Star Wars.
And that random chance led him to Han Solo and superstardom. It's a classic story of being in the right place at the right time, but also being open to those unexpected opportunities.
Exactly. You never know what might happen just by putting yourself out there and taking action.
It seems like the takeaway is that taking action isn't just about reaching a specific goal. It's about opening yourself up to new things, to those chance encounters that can lead to amazing places.
And that brings us to another important thing that can either help us move forward or keep us stuck. Decision-making. It's like having a car ready to go, but then not choosing a direction.
Yeah, you can have all the motivation in the world, but if you can't make decisions, you won't get anywhere. What does the book say about making those choices?
It says we need to develop our decision-making muscle. Like any muscle, the more you use it, the stronger it gets. The more decisions you make, the better you get at it.
So indecision is a decision too, right? Choosing not to choose is still a choice, and it often leads to nothing happening, to missing out.
Exactly. The book talks about research on this. Some people get stuck in analysis paralysis, always looking for more information, weighing every option endlessly.
Those are the maximizers the book talks about, always wanting the absolute best, even if it means never actually deciding.
Right. And then there are the satisficers. They're happy with finding something that's good enough. And guess what? Research says satisficers are often happier with their choices and have less regret.
It reminds me of that saying, perfect is the enemy of good. Sometimes we want the perfect solution so badly that we end up missing out completely.
The book uses this example of choosing a TV show. A maximizer might spend hours flipping channels, trying to find the perfect one, while a satisficer picks the first show that seems interesting. And in the end, the maximizer might not enjoy anything because they were so focused on finding that perfect show.
It's a good reminder that good enough is often good enough. Making a decision, even if it's not perfect, is better than being stuck in that endless cycle of, what if I choose the wrong thing?
Especially with big life decisions, like choosing a career or starting a business. The book says it's about finding a balance. Be ambitious, but also be practical. Set realistic goals, make informed choices, and then commit to those choices with confidence.
So we've made a decision, and now it's time for action. I'm curious to see what the book suggests when it comes to planning and actually putting those decisions into motion.
The book really comes through when it comes to taking action. It lays out this practical advice on planning, breaking those big goals down, and basically creating a roadmap to get there.
So we've made the big decisions, we know where we're going, but now we need the how-to, right?
Yeah.
The specifics of actually getting there. What's that planning process like?
One of the key things is setting what they call SMART goals. It stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timed.
So it's about taking those vague ideas and making them concrete, actionable. Instead of, I want to be healthier, a SMART goal would be, I'll exercise for 30 minutes 3 times a week and eat more veggies for the next month.
Exactly. The details, the measurement, the time frame, it all brings clarity and makes you accountable. It turns a general wish into something you can track and work towards.
It's like having a map instead of just a vague idea of where you want to end up.
The book also talks about breaking big goals down into smaller steps. They call it chunking down. It really helps when you feel overwhelmed by the size of your goal.
Makes sense. It's like climbing a mountain, right? You don't just teleport to the top. You take it one step at a time.
Exactly. And breaking it down makes it less daunting. Plus, you get to celebrate those smaller wins along the way.
Which is a great way to stay motivated, right? Those small wins keep you going. And this reminds me with something else the book talks about, figuring out which actions are helpful and which ones aren't.
Right. The book talks about Professor Richard Wiseman's research. He studied people who are successful at reaching their goals. He found 5 things that make you way more likely to succeed.
Okay, spill the beans. What are these secret weapons for making dreams a reality?
The first one, public commitment. Tell people your goals. It makes you accountable, and you're more likely to stick with it. The second is step-by-step progress, like we talked about. Break those big goals down into bite-sized
And
pieces.
number 3, don't forget to celebrate those wins. It keeps you motivated and reinforces those good habits, like a little reward for all that effort you're putting in.
Exactly. Celebrating those wins helps us stay focused on what we've already achieved, not just on what's left to do. Number 4 is to keep track of your progress. A journal, a spreadsheet, a list, whatever works. But documenting your journey helps you see how far you've come and stay focused.
And last but not least, focus on the positive reasons behind your goal. Why are you doing this? What good things are you working towards? This helps a lot, especially when it gets tough.
There you have it. 5 powerful actions backed by research that can really increase your chances of reaching your goals. But just as important, Wiseman found 5 things that don't help.
Interesting. So it's not just about doing the right things, it's also about avoiding the things that sabotage us. What are those sneaky saboteurs?
First, hero worship. Turns out sticking a picture of your idol on the fridge won't magically give you their talent or success.
Right. It's a good reminder to focus on your own path, not try to copy someone else's. What's next?
Number 2, focusing on the negative. Dwelling on what you're afraid of or complaining about your current situation won't magically make things better.
It's like trying to drive forward while staring at the rearview mirror. Not very effective.
Nope. Number 3, trying to suppress negative thoughts. Ironically, the more you push them away, the stronger they seem to get.
It's that pink elephant thing. If you try not to think about it, you end up thinking about it even more.
Exactly. The 4th one is fantasizing too much. Daydreaming is fun, but it's not a substitute for actually doing something.
Right. It's about finding that balance between visualizing the future and taking actual steps to make it happen. What's the last one?
The last one is relying only on willpower. Willpower is important, but we only have so much of it. You need a plan, support, and those helpful actions we talked about to create real change.
It's about setting yourself up for success. Don't just rely on willpower. Create systems and habits that support your goals.
Exactly. And to wrap up our deep dive into stop talking, start doing, the book gives us this last piece of advice. It encourages us to come up with a personal slogan, a mantra that sums up our commitment to action.
I love that idea. It's like having this mini pep talk ready whenever you need a boost.
It could be something simple and powerful, like just start, or progress over perfection, or even I am capable of achieving anything I set my mind to.
The key is to find something that speaks to you and keeps you going. So as we wrap up this exploration, what stands out to you as the most important takeaway from stop talking, start doing?
For me, it's that emphasis on just starting. The book does a great job of breaking down those mental walls we build for ourselves. It reminds us that taking that first step, even a tiny one, can set amazing things in motion.
I agree. It's a reminder that action is the antidote to fear, procrastination, and self-doubt. And often the biggest breakthroughs happen when we feel the most resistance.
So if there's something you've been wanting to do, a change you've been dreaming of, take a cue from this book and just start. The world is waiting to see what you create.
That's it for our deep dive today. Thanks for joining us on this journey of turning dreams into reality.
Remember, the only limits are the ones we put on ourselves.
So go out there, make a decision, take that first step, and embrace the adventure that's waiting for you. And just to sum things up, here are 10 key takeaways from Stop Talking, Start Doing. Acknowledge that itch, that desire for something more. Remember that regret for inaction can be more powerful than fear. Reframe those excuses as challenges you can overcome. Celebrate the act of starting. It's a win in itself. Embrace the possibility of accidental success. Sometimes the best things happen when you least expect them. Strengthen your decision-making muscle by making choices, even if they're not perfect. Set SMART goals. Specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timed. Break down large goals into smaller, manageable steps. Focus on helpful actions like telling people your goals and celebrating progress. And finally, take that first step today. You got this.